Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to my daily Instagram Live / YouTube, depending on which platform you're watching this on. Today we are studying the book of Deuteronomy, and we are currently on chapter 12. For a quick recap of chapter 11, we were given very similar repetitive information from the previous chapters of quick reminders that one, you are to obey God and all of his commands that he sets forth for you. And if not, if you disobey, then you are subjected to being cursed and banished from the promised land, or not making it into the promised land. But also on the contrary, that if you do obey, you will be blessed. So you have the free will to choose in which direction you are going to go. And so let's get into chapter 12. Chapter 12 appears to have some new information, and we're given, or the children of Israel were given instructions on how God wanted them to move forward. Remember that God wanted them to obey his laws and commands. So these are commands that God was giving the children of Israel in order to serve properly, or how God wanted them to. It is not about doing what you want to do. It's about serving God and doing what he is commanding for them to do. So, some of the instructions, if you go to verse 2, it says, destroy completely all places on high mountains, hills, and under every tree, where the nations you are dispossessing worship. They're worshiping their gods. To just destroy those places, but also the idols, the altars, the sacred stones, everything that is associated with these other tribes worshiping other gods was to be destroyed. And then in verse 5 it says, you are also to seek the place the Lord your God will choose from among all of your tribes, to put his name for his dwelling. Bring everything I command, offerings, sacrifices, gifts, etc. Bring all of that into this new place that you are going to be allowed to have a space to worship. And then it also says in verse 19, be careful not to neglect the Levites as long as you live in your land. Remember in the previous chapter, it did mention the Levites and the purpose of the Levites, that the Levites are the one tribe that weren't given an inheritance, and that is because they are to be in charge of for God and for the temple. So since they don't have an inheritance, it was expected that the community was to take care of the Levites. And that's why it says, do not neglect the Levites, for the tithes, and tithes are supposed to go to them so that they can carry out their ministry for the people. So then, and that's how tithing started. Another thing that I noted that is really important, I believe, is at first when you read Deuteronomy in any chapter really, it seems a bit intense of the directive to destroy all of the people and to dispossess all of their land. But there is a reason for it, and it's not just because they were worshiping other gods. It was also the way that they were doing it. It says, they even burn their sons and daughters, in reference to saying that when they're worshiping their other gods, they're sacrificing their sons and daughters as offerings to their gods. One example of this is how they used to worship Molech, one of their gods, false gods, should I say. So these are very wicked people. It's not that they are just, with a difference in opinion or whatnot. They physically saw that God was God. It's not that they are just, coming out of thin air and they've never seen anything before. They visualized, they saw the miracles that God did in Egypt. And they still chose to turn away and worship their own gods because that's what they wanted to do. And they're also sacrificing their children in order to do that. Nevertheless, that is the end of chapter 12. It is impossible for me to open up the discussion to the comments section on this live because my internet is lagging. So it appears that, I don't know, I probably have to reshoot this whole entire video and just put it onto YouTube. So for that purpose, I'm going to just say, let's continue this discussion in the comments section of this video when I do post it to YouTube. So go ahead, if I may have interpreted something or you feel like my interpretation is off, if you have a different way of interpreting it, if I forgot something and you would like to add, then please sound off in the comments so that we could discuss and we can grow together in our studies of the book of Deuteronomy. Ciao.